Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So, the state of Pennsylvania. A lot of people, even those on the left, are starting to admit that it is a key state for 2024. It is likely whoever wins the state of Pennsylvania, especially if Donald Trump is the nominee, is going to win the White House. The Republican path to 270 goes directly through all of the states Trump won in 2020. I believe he is likely to hold all of them as of right now, including North Carolina. It goes through Nevada, which seems to be moving a little bit to the right, and it goes through Wisconsin, which also in presidential years continues to lean and trend to the right, and it also will go through Pennsylvania. If Trump gets all of those states, he will be the next president. And we've talked about Republican Party incompetence in the Rust Belt states, in places like Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, and how that could hold Republicans back come 2024. However, it doesn't really seem as if the Democrats in Pennsylvania are doing so well either, which definitely will give Republicans a major boost there next year, and also possibly in the major state Supreme Court race this year. And even Democrats, even Politico is admitting, Democrats there are saying their party needs help. Their party is in shambles. We talk a lot about Republican incompetence. Doesn't mean incompetence doesn't exist on the other side. And this is a crucial state. This is a razor-thin battleground state for 2024. It was razor-thin in 2016 and 2020. And this really does seem like that new bellwether state. It used to be Ohio and Florida. Republicans kind of have moved those over into the Republican column. Some said it used to be Colorado and Virginia. Those have moved since into the Democrat column. Pennsylvania, it's moved a little bit to the right. It's still a state that is very much up for grabs, very representative of America and swing voters as a whole. And Republicans there, if they get the turnout in the areas needed among those white working class voters, they got a shot to win. I think Donald Trump, compared to other Republicans, and I think we saw this in 2022, he gives you that best shot because he is the X factor. He does supercharge that turnout that's necessary to win. However, you look at the Democrats in the state of Pennsylvania, they have problems. They were texting people to vote on November 8th. A few weeks ago when Election Day is actually on November 7th. If you recall, I think there was a meme maker who did that intentionally on the Republican side back in 2016, and they put him in jail for a meme for some reason. It was total nonsense, but the Democrats are so incompetent. That's what they're doing unintentionally in the state of Pennsylvania. That's not exactly going to help them out. It kind of just shows how the state party is in chaos. We talk about the Michigan Republicans and how they're in chaos. The Pennsylvania Democrats, the Nevada Democrats, the Florida Democrats, all of these parties are also in a state of disarray, which is not going to help the Democrats at all. I'm not saying Republicans can't win Michigan if everything goes right, or if Democrats cannot win Pennsylvania if everything goes right, but the fact that the state parties in those states are incompetent definitely holds back the chances of each respective party of winning each respective state that they happen to have an incompetent party in. There's also a lot of financial problems that are being talked about as well. You look at the fact that the political action committees, the lead action committees, only have $7,500 in the bank. So already you can see and you can tell something is happening. They underwent a round of layoffs in July. This hasn't been talked about a lot. It hasn't been reported until now, as it says in this article. But still, they are really stripped for cash right now. It's not looking good, and we'll see what happens. A lot of them are saying that the Supreme Court race, possibly this year, may end up not going their way because they don't have a lot of fundraising right now. Now, Democrats are making abortion front and center. Whenever they've been doing this for these Supreme Court races, whether we saw it in Wisconsin or some of these races we saw last fall, it does seem as if Democrats have been able to capitalize on that because they're energizing youth turnout, they're energizing their own base, and also because Republicans don't know how to attack the issue. A lot of them just run on the issue And if they do confront it, many of them confront it poorly, like what we saw in the governor's races of Michigan or Pennsylvania last year. So we'll see what happens there. But if they're able to drop the ball on this Supreme Court contest that is coming up in November, that is the canary in the coal mine for next year in Pennsylvania, because they are going to have a lot of problems, because we're leading up to the presidential year. We're 1 year away. And if the Democrats in Pennsylvania are in complete disarray right now, it's not a good look. You look at polls in Pennsylvania already between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. You see them neck and neck, when usually the polls in presidential years in Pennsylvania have underestimated Donald Trump. Not only that, it does seem as if, worst case scenario, you could say this is a battleground state. Worst case scenario, this is going to be razor thin. It's going to be up for grabs. And that means it's won with turnout. That means it's won in the trenches. You see Republicans in Pennsylvania starting to go out there and embrace early voting, vote by mail, etc. What is that exactly going to do? It's going to increase Republican turnout. They're not going to have to worry about finding people at the 11th hour. You're kind of rectifying the mistakes that Republicans have made in 2020 or 2022. And that's the way it is. And even Democrats in Pennsylvania are angry at each other. They're saying we have a total incompetent, lazy guy who has no clue what he's doing running the state party. What exactly does that mean? Well, you look at Michigan. I've said the same thing. I've made videos critiquing the Michigan Republican Party for being incompetent, because they have a woman there who does not know what she's doing. Pennsylvania, they have an incompetent, lazy guy who has no clue what he's doing. So they're seeing some of the same problems in their key state parties that some of the Republicans are seeing in theirs, which means it does open the door and it does make Pennsylvania a lot easier to win if the problems do persist. And this is true. You're looking at this, and you are also seeing the fact that all of these PACs are not exactly doing so well. Some of them are dismissing the financial challenges, but still, either way, 700,000, is that much? The state party's federal PAC has 200,000 on hand. That's not a lot of money. It's really not overall, because that's like their lead PAC, and they're trying to use that as an excuse to say, oh, everything's fine, even though the House is kind of burning down. And you're looking at that. You see more and more layoffs, more and more layoffs. This is something that's going to be a major problem, because even though they have to remain confident, even though they have to claim that Pennsylvania is going to be a state that they look to win and that they expect to win, I don't believe that Democrats secretly are all that confident. And even the lead strategists are saying they're going to have to go out there and improve significantly within the next year or so in order to go out there and win, because they don't know what they're doing. And even though they did get their victory in 2022, even though they did exhaust a lot of resources getting that victory, it does seem as if they have their internal issues. They have their problems, and this is definitely going to hurt them. Yes, they have the governorship there. Yes, they're going to try to use that to their advantage. It's not going to be a cakewalk, but either way, if you don't have the mechanism to give you that advantage that you've had in past election cycles, it's going to get a lot harder. And Donald Trump is beloved in rural Pennsylvania and a lot of white working class areas in Pennsylvania compared to a lot of other Republicans. You look at somebody like Doug Mastriano, didn't have any funding. He was outspent by like $50-60 million or some ridiculous number like that. He was outspent like 50-1. He went out there, the narrative was set against him. What happened? He ended up falling short. You look at Dr. Oz, the base didn't like him. He barely wins a primary, divided field. Either way, was not enough to generate enough turnout for Republicans to have success in the midterms in 2022. But Donald Trump being on that ballot in 2024, that likely will boost turnout among his base in the state, which will give Republicans a very high floor. They're still going to have to get a chunk of the electorate on their side outside of that to win, but it does seem as if Biden's approval remains low, and if the state party remains as incompetent as it is, even though they say they have time to right ship, and they do, but they acknowledge that it's concerning. They acknowledge that it's a big, big problem. And if they're not able to win the Supreme Court race this year, we'll see. Do I think they're going to win it? Yeah, Republicans have this election drought. I think it is going to continue for a little bit of time. We'll see what happens in Virginia with the legislative races in that state. We'll see what happens in Kentucky. I think Beshear probably does hold on. I do think that Reeves does hold on, though, as well in Mississippi. They'll flip Louisiana because Bell Edwards is out the door basically there. So it's one of those things where we'll have to see if the drought continues in a swing state like Pennsylvania. But nonetheless, looking at this, I really believe that Pennsylvania, if the state party remains this incompetent, Republicans are going to go in there next year and likely pick off the state just like they did in 2016. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.